different feel because of the team wearing gray. The Cardinals return to the scene of last year's playoff crime, carrying fond memories of our nation's capital. The Nats favor to reach October again, but an inconsistent start causing concern. A developing rivalry renews in Game 1 from Nationals Park. Good to be back home, although we're still wondering where is the spring weather for our division champions. Fans coming down Half Street, cool night at the ballpark, and a pair of 10-8 ball clubs who are probably supposed to be sporting better records by now. St. Louis 6-6 on the road, and the Nats 6-3 at home. Bob and FP, good to be back home. Is tonight the time to maybe stop talking about 2012?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, put it behind you. It's a new season, and maybe the fans and even the color analysts a little bit too caught up in 2012. So we're going to have a little closure night tonight. I think nothing better than to show some highlights against the Cardinals, which you're going to take because I still haven't watched these yet, and I'm closing my eyes. Go ahead.
Daniel Descalso, the big hit, and then Drew Storen not able to get Pete Kozma out. It's amazing in the playoffs. Sometimes it's the guys who make contact who get the big hits. But at other times, like in Game 4 right before that, it's a big guy who got some big contact against a good closer.
Well, that's why we're showing Game 4 last. You get some good vibes going to this first game of the series against the Cardinals. And one swing of the bat for Jason Worth, the signature moment of this franchise, and one of the best at-bats I've ever seen. So we never get tired of looking at that. Show you Game 5 first, which I didn't look at. Show you Game 4 second. Give you good vibes going into tonight.
Well, does a W make up for last October? Well, maybe 3 of them would. Davey says, I thought the Cardinals were going to have a bigger batting average by now than 242. The Nats are third in the league in home runs. It's an interesting matchup. St. Louis, Dan Herron used to pitch for them at our Nats. Brought to you by Ocean City. Visit Ocean City, Maryland for SpringFest May 2nd through 5th. Find out more at OCOcean.com. By Acura. And by Farmers. At Farmers, we believe in smarter coverage. Contact your local agent, 888-96-FARMERS. It's going to be a little chilly at the old yard tonight. Cardinals in town for the first of 3. 2 night games, a day game on Wednesday. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. It is hard to stop a train, really hard. 54 degrees. There is a breeze blowing in from right over the top of the scoreboard. Not a real strong wind, but it'll be enough to really keep things cool here tonight. St. Louis is 4th in the league in runs, an uncharacteristic batting average of .242. Carlos Beltran late insertion into the lineup. Yadier Molina was their cleanup guy, but he's batting .324, batting mostly fifth. And of course, he is the best defensive catcher in baseball in recent memory. Dan Herron came to the major leagues with St. Louis in '04, went 3-3 for them that year before moving on to the American League. And against his former ball club, the one that signed him and brought him to the big leagues, he's 4-0.
Now, last time out Tuesday at Miami, he took the 8-2 loss, lasted 4 1/3, allowed 7 runs, 3 of those earned on 7 hits, struck out 2, walked 1 through 93 pitches, 64 for strikes. So fastball, cutter, curveball split is what the Cardinals will see from Dan Herron right now.
That's a good sinking running fastball, and we're underway at 7:06. Matt Carpenter, the hitter. I get choked up on a first pitch fastball for a strike evidently.
You're just an emotional guy.
Matt Carpenter hitting at .266. 87 on that one, low and inside. 12-year veteran Jim Wolf. And then on the bases, Corey Blazer, the crew chief Jim Joyce, his 26th year. And then 16-year veteran Jeff Nelson. 2 balls and 1 strike and a foul ball. So it's out about the St. Louis ball club. Usually you see them hitting .270, .275, something like that. Alan Craig on deck. They're tied with the Braves at .242, but they put hits together. As I mentioned, they're 4th in the National League in runs. That is right in there. Running back to the inside corner, 1 out.
I talked to Dan Herron after his last start. He feels like he might be throwing too many fastballs. You see 91 right there, 2-seam fastball, front door variety. Ran it back for strike 3. But I thought his fastball was one of his best pitch last time out against the Marlins in South Florida. He kept it down, had good velocity, moved it around, just got gassed after an error behind him in the 4th inning that led to some runs.
Alan Craig is next, power hitting first baseman. This guy drove in 92 runs last year in what was really his first full season in the big leagues, when he played in 119 games and had 469 at bats. Kind of a late bloomer. He was an 8th rounder for St. Louis 7 years ago. Dan Herron had him reaching, and a quick first 2 outs here to start the game.
Let's set the defense for the Nats tonight behind Dan Herron. Harper, Spanworth in the outfield. Desmond Rendon on the left side. Espinosa LaRoche on the right side. Kurt Suzuki doing the catching.
Anthony Rendon's folks are here. They did get their travel plans rerouted. Couldn't get to New York, but they rerouted to D.C., and they are here tonight, watching him make his home debut. Big, strong Matt Holliday steps in. Hitting only .246, which is about 70 points below his career batting average. But with runners in scoring position, he's been a monster. Good thing the bases are empty here. That's on the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We talk about Anthony Rendon in his debut yesterday in New York. You know, you fly all night to get to New York. You get in a cab, go to a ballpark you're not familiar with. You're introducing yourself to all your new teammates. And maybe things moving a little fast in your first big league game. I thought he took some good swings yesterday, but nothing will help you get to know your teammates like sitting on the back of a plane with them flying home and having a day with them in your own ballpark. And I feel like he's going to be a lot more relaxed tonight here against the Cardinals.
Yeah, and evidently that plane trip after he carried Jason Worth's bag onto the vehicle last night. So a little rookie requirement, first day in the big leagues. That's okay. I'm sure he carried the bags for the whole outfield and whatever infielders he could as well. Good looking young player. Can't wait to see him get that first major league hit. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Matt Holliday, who's 6 for 21 career. against Dan Herron. They just missed being teammates in Oakland. Holiday was in Colorado, while Herron was an Oakland Athletic. And a big man at the age of 33 who always hits for great average. A lot of big power hitters can't do that. His career average coming into this season, .313. (3-2) with 2 outs.
Well, the best way to face him is right now with nobody on. When you look at his average this year with runners in scoring position, Matt Holliday's hitting a cool .636. So get the guys out in front of him. Let him hit with nobody on.
And the guy behind him hitting .600. Carlos Beltran, who originally was not in the lineup tonight. 3-2, and Holiday hits it to center. Span going back, and he will catch it right on the edge of the track, 390 feet away. Hey, it's a 1-2-3 first inning. The Nats will face young Shelby Miller, making his 5th big league start with this Mazda lineup. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building at Mazda. Adam LaRoche has always hit St. Louis well. Of course, you saw a lot of their pitching over the years. Adam with the Pirates for many years and the Braves in this league. And now the Nats. Got his batting average up to 200. Most of his hits have been very meaningful this year. Anthony Rendon in that number 6 spot again tonight. And here's Shelby Miller, who's never faced the Nationals. 3-1 career with a 1.69 ERA. And FP at the age of 22 out of Brownwood, Texas. One of the live young arms in the National League.
Yeah, good fastball, averaging 93 miles an hour. Last start on the 17th, he received the first loss of his major league career when the Cards were 1 hit by the Pirates. He allowed a run in the first, then retired 15 straight after that. In 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, struck out 6, walked 1 through 98 pitches, 69 for strikes. So got a cutter and a curveball and a change to go with that fastball, but predominantly fastball curve is what you'll see tonight and what the Nats will see in that batter's box.
Well, Denard Span not feeling well last week. He was really heating things up when he got the flu in Florida, and now he's 1 for his last 11. So the batting average still respectable, 271. On base percentage more than respectable, 386. Shelby Miller on 0-2. Bang with the fastball. 1 out. Hitters not real wild about heaters under their hands on a night like this.
That same pitch you saw in the first inning from Dan Herron set the defense for the Cardinals tonight. Holiday, Jay Beltran in the outfield. Cosma Freeze, yeah, that guy at shortstop. There he is. Carpenter and Craig on the right side, and Yadier Molina doing the catching.
Carlos Beltran. Well, they thought they might give him a night off After that late game in Philadelphia last night, they got to town about 3 o'clock this morning. But about an hour ago, we were told Carlos Beltran would bring his 6-game hitting streak into the St. Louis lineup. Here's Jason Worth hitting .275. And you're looking at what Shelby Miller can do right now with that mid-90s heater. Worth's never faced him. Neither have anybody else in a Washington uniform. Worth hitting .321, by the way, over the last 2 weeks. So a lot of lab work, as you often talk about, FP, first time around the lineup against a guy you've probably only seen on videotape.
Hey, you know about the fastball and the movement on it, but you have to see it for yourself. I always say you can watch all the video you want, but your eyes will tell you the story first time around.
Fastball high, it's 1-2.
Close the book on that at bat from Jason Worth yesterday where he swung at the 3-0 pitch. To me, that sums up how the Nationals are playing early in the season. Not from a standpoint of should he or should he have not swung. Because if he hits that out and it's a 3-run homer, everyone's going nuts. I think it shows you how hard these guys are trying early in the season, maybe to live up to preseason expectation, maybe even to finish some unfinished business of last year. And in baseball, when you try too hard or try to do too much, it has the opposite effect. And I think that's just a case of a guy caring a lot and trying to make the game 3-2 with one swing. And he was the one guy that knew more than anybody in the ballpark, including his own teammates, that he did the wrong thing swinging at that 3-0 pitch.
And he was stand up about it after the game. Shelby Miller blows Worth away, and now this will be an interesting matchup. A fire baller against a red hot on fire hitter, Bryce Harper. Amazing what he's doing. 4th in average, 9th in on base percentage, 2nd in homers, and in the top 8 in RBIs. But hits, total bases, multi-hit games, extra base hits, slugging, runners in scoring position. Bryce Harper is not lower than 5 in any one of those last categories I mentioned.
Hair, beard, top 5 too.
Yeah, I would think so. Looking mature for your age, priceless. And that's right in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lineup a little different now with Zimmerman out. Left, right, left, left for the first 4 batters. Harper takes a big swing and fouls it off to the left side. Find out why the government and employees choose STG Inc. So if you're not going to walk him, where do you pitch him to get him out?
Well, according to this, you just throw it right at his coconut, I think. It's the only place he's got a hole in his swing.
So 24 hits, top 3 in the league, behind Sin-Shu Chu and Gonzalez of the Dodgers. Harper hustling, close play, out. Pete Kozma threw him out. And both pitchers, Heron and Miller, 1-2-3 first innings.
Ford FC, the Association for Global Security Professionals. And first one, bird in hand, down here in controls the Cardinals. He handles them 4-0, 3-6-5 in 5 career starts. Nothing up his sleeve. Cold night. Check it out, folks. Old school, no sleeves out there for Dan Herron. And not so fast, my friend. Try to throw a little more cutter split action tonight. Feels like he might be throwing his fastball too much. That one was brought to you by the truck. They did that one for me tonight. Thanks, guys. If you like it, send your emails to the truck. If you didn't, send your emails to the truck.
Truck@truck.com truck. Carlos Beltran, 6 for 19 career against Herron with a home run. This guy can flat out hit. Knee problems keeping him down for the last couple of years, but he came back in a big way with St. Louis last year. 32 homers, 97 RBIs. Giants had him at the end of the 2011 season, elected to let him walk after they picked him up late in the season from the Mets. That ball is hit hard. First base hit of the game by either club. Beltran aboard. That'll add to his .283 batting mark. He now has a 7-game hitting streak. Second inning presented by Luna. Call tonight for the Luna double. Get your second room of flooring free. 877-241-LUNA. That brings in Yadier Molina.
You got the ballpark today. Filled out our lineup cards. Matt Adams in there for the Cardinals, playing first base, hitting a cool .542 on the season, 13 for 23. And you looked at the extras, and you saw Beltran in there, and you're like, good, he's not playing. He switched the lineups. Now he's in there and got himself a knock.
Yadier Molina has made himself into a really good big league hitter. 305, 315 the last 2 years. Been in the big league since 04. Great pitch by Herron. Had his former teammate locked up. I think, thinking back, Molina might be the only guy on this ball club that was there when Herron came up in 04. They were both rookies.
He's such a grinder. Had his first day off on April 19th after playing every single game and catching all but 1 inning. And he looks a lot more thin to me. It looks like he's in probably the best shape of his life.
Yeah, they list him at 225, and he's been listed higher than that before. He's 31 years of age. Actually will be at the end of July. And with the runner moving, he fouls it off. And you can do that with Molina because he makes contact so much.
Well, interesting selection of who's covering second base right there with Yadier Molina up a hit and run on. Danny Espinoza covering the back, leaving that big hole open on the right side. And Yadier Molina, a guy that can control the bat, move the ball around, and hits the majority of his singles to right field. You see the inside out swing right there. Had the whole right side of the infield for a ground ball.
Molina hitting .324. Runner holding. That ball hit hard but slicing. Fortunately for the Nats, about 5 or 6 feet foul in that corner. This guy struck out 55 times in 505 at bats last year.
Up the middle the other way. He'll pull you on an off-speed pitch or cheat to that inside fastball early in the count, try to ambush you. Especially with 2 strikes, he takes a lot out of his swing, tries to go the other way.
David Freese, postseason hero from a few years ago. That ball hard hit, and Desmond drops it. Molina wasn't running, so they still get the double play. He thought Desmond was going to catch it. Ian dropped it, and it still is a 6-4-3.
That may be one of the first breaks this ball club's caught all season long. And that hopefully turns Ian Desmond's season around at shortstop. A line drive that he reached up for. Had trouble that ball sticking in his glove early in the season. Dropped a relay throw in New York the other day, on the Saturday game. That line drive right at him. And Beltran had to freeze, and Yadier Molina didn't run, and they got the double play anyways.
How to play off the bat of David Freese.
So circle that play is my point, and that's the one that's going to turn everything around.
You might be right. I saw Molina talking to Corey Blazer, the first base umpire, after that play. But you can't call the infield fly rule on a line drive with only one guy on base. You know, infielders have been known to drop those on purpose, but I don't think that's what Ian did. That ball got away from him a bit, and Molina stopped as soon as he saw the ball going into Desmond's glove. Now it's 0-2 on Freeze.
And I say turn things around. You're 2 games over 500, so.
Yeah, but if you're 2 over and you want to be 20 over, that could be a turnaround.
Yep.
Swing and a miss, and the double play makes it a whole lot quicker second inning than it was starting to look like. 6 hitters, 6 outs for Dan Herron so far.
Pitch right there to David Freese. This is the Herron split. See the grip right in his glove? And it's a pitch that he's been known for throughout his career. And when it does this, look at the drop, the sink into a right-handed pitcher, the late movement. And when it's moving like that, folks, he's got it going on. So in 2012, he's only thrown that thing 11% of the time. Last year, I mean 2013, excuse me, last year, 2012, he threw it 18% of the time. So I think you're going to be seeing a little more of that out pitch from Dan Herron, the split finger.
Like it. Adam LaRoche, first pitch swinging. Out to right center. John Jay under it. 4 in a row by Shelby Miller to start the game. 2 more games with St. Louis and Cincinnati for 4. Get your 2013 single game tickets. You can do that right now. You can do it anytime. Log on to nationals.com/tickets and you could see a Nationals home game for as little as $10.
$10 for a big league game. Bring it on.
Ian Desmond.
That promotion comes with a free Bob Carpenter scorebook too. It just didn't say it right there.
Call 1-800-FP to complete that offer. Desmond 2 for 11 with that home run in New York, but he's still hitting .348 over his last 12 games. Pretty good rip on a ball away. 93 in the count. 0-2.
I think as a hitter, when you're facing a 2-pitch pitcher like Shelby Miller, you know, fastball, curveball, he throws that fastball 70% of the time. Even if they're 2+ pitches, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of your at-bat. Now you just go to your happy zone, try to get the ball down. Because you're seeing a lot of high fastballs from him. You got to zone him down in. Tough to do early, but once you see the release point, maybe your second at-bat, get that fastball belt high and do some damage.
No rookie versus rookie here. Anthony Rendon. Let's hear how the fans receive him. I know somewhere out there 4 people from Texas are on their feet right now. Anthony 0 for 4 in his big league debut yesterday. He really had kind of an odd minor league career, because last year, the second game of the season, he severely sprained his ankle. Ended up playing 9 games at Potomac, 5 down in Vieira, 8 at Auburn, New York, and 21 at Harrisburg, PA.
Don't unpack.
No kidding. This year, 14 walks in 16 games at Harrisburg with a batting mark of .292 and that great on base percentage we talked about yesterday. 2 balls, 1 strike. He's pretty close to the plate in his stance there.
I mean, a lot of pitchers throw downhill. To me, Shelby Miller right now looks like he's throwing uphill. That fastball looks like it has the illusion of rising, because he sinks down right before release and then kind of throws uphill right there.
Mercedes on the pitch track.
Just working the top of the zone. You see all those pitches living on the high fastball early in this game.
Another strikeout. 4 in the first 2 innings, and it looks like both starters are on their games in this scoreless affair.
Ball game. Let's go inside the numbers, find out why the government and employees choose STG Inc. And we'll check out Dan Heron and the types of pitches he uses and compare it last year to this year. You see the splitter last year 19% of the time versus just 12 this year. Obviously small sample size we're working with, just a couple of starts this year, but a lot more fastballs in 2013 than he threw in 2012.
John Jay used to be the St. Louis leadoff man. He leads off here in the 3rd. First time he faces Dan Heron. 28-year-old left-handed hitter, batting .208. Dan Heron, 86, and he threw it by him.
That's a cutter right there. And it had some good late movement.
Heron checks in 1-2 with an 8.10 ERA, 4th start. And a ball drilled to center. Denard Span just cruising back for it. He is a very fluid looking center fielder.
If you're Dan Heron and I'm a left-handed hitter and you show me that cutter in and you keep pounding it on the inner half of the plate, now as a hitter I'm thinking he's got a good cutter going tonight. I have to start my swing early, maybe cheat to get to it. Dangerous to look in there for a left-handed hitter, but guess what? It opens up the split for everything else. I mean, Pete Cosmo getting greeted as he should in this ballpark by Nats fans.
I'm pretty sure this is the only park in the majors that boos this young man from Oklahoma. And that's outside ball 1. The heartbreaking base hit he got against Drew Storen to put the Cardinals into the LCS last October. He's off to a .232 start. Just goes to show what playoff baseball can be like. Daniel Descalso, a reserve infielder, doesn't play every day. Pete Cosma was in the major leagues because Rafael Furcal hurt his arm here in Washington. He goes the other way again, and it's another base hit. Second base hit for St. Louis tonight. And that'll present Shelby Miller with a chance to sacrifice, although he can swing the bat.
Well, Nats fans have given him a very similar nickname that Red Sox fans gave Bucky Dent. But he's a good player. He gets a job done at shortstop, and he's a tough out, as you see right there.
By the way, he's from the same high school just outside Tulsa that Baltimore's Dylan Bundy is from. Little town called Owasso. Dylan Bundy, of course, will be in the big leagues at some point with the Orioles this year, we would think. He was up last year in September. Quite a baseball factory that school has become. And Shelby Miller 0 for 5 this year, but he's 2 for 8 as a big league hitter with a pair of sacrifice bunts. Corner infielder's charging. He deadens it well. Dan Herron has one play. Danny Espinosa on the receiving end. Sacrifice 1-4. Way these guys are pitching tonight, whoever scores first is big. This moment in history brought to you by Volkswagen. Springtoberfest going on now. Visit VWDealer.com today. And on April 22nd of 08, John Smoltz got Felipe Lopez for his 3,000th K. But John Lannon outdueled him. I remember that game well. The Atlanta fans were totally into the whole strikeout thing. And then after John Smoltz got number 3,000, the Nats just hammered him and won that game going away. John Lannon, brilliant. Matt Carpenter, top of the order, called out on strikes first time. 27-year-old infielder from Galveston, Texas. Played at TCU. Wonder if he ran across Anthony Rendon maybe here and there in a couple of non-conference games. 1 ball, 1 strike. Did he go? No, says Jeff Nelson.
You check it out from the side. You make the call. Did he go? Yes, he did. Caught a break.
Two balls, 1 strike. Espinosa on the right field grass just outside the infield. And Herron will miss 3-1, went 85 on that one.
He homered yesterday, his first at bat in Philadelphia, to snap an 0 for 12 streak.
Power hitter on deck, Alan Craig, who's sitting on a powder keg because he hasn't hit one yet this year. Herron misses upstairs, 2 on, 2 out.
He didn't like the call at all. Long look in right there after the pitch to Jim Wolf. Thought it was a strike.
Probably saw some of the high fastballs Shelby Miller threw get called strikes around that area. Big early juncture in this ball game right here. Alan Craig on a tapper back to Herron, retired first time.
Well, the Cardinals lead all of baseball with a .368 average, runners in scoring position.
Wow.
And with 2 outs, they're hitting .408 this year with runners in scoring position.
That's how you're 11th in the league in hitting, but you're 4th in runs. You get your hits at the right time. Bouncing ball and well foul. By the way, the Nats, let me give you a little preview of what this series might be like over their last 12 games. They're hitting .354 with runners in scoring position.
That just tells me you got a bunch of veteran hitters that know how to handle the situation. You don't get jumpy up there. You're not aggressive early in the count. You're sitting on your pitch. You're thinking up the middle the other way. When you have a lineup like they do and like the Nationals have with a bunch of veteran guys in it, they know how to get the job done for the most part.
Inside, 2-1. Well, the one thing about this inning, you want it to end right here, because there's a big man waiting, and then there's Carlos Beltran. If you don't get the number 2 hitter, Alan Craig. Holiday next. And a ball hit in the air to left center. It'll play. Barely. And it's Span up against the wall, unable to make that catch. That ball kept going and going. Barely stayed in the park, and St. Louis leads 2-0. That shows you how strong Alan Craig is.
Well, it shows you how the wind is blowing tonight. It's blowing out straight to left. I mean, if you look at the building about a block away, the flags are blowing from the right field foul pole hard across to the left field foul pole. So if you get it up in the air to left center field, that's the jet stream tonight. You see the extension. I thought that was a routine fly ball, and watch the carry on it. Denard Span giving it a good go up against the fence. Can't make the play. Well, that would have been another spectacular play if he had made it, but that ball just kept going and going and going, and the wind is gusting out to left.
Inside with a fastball, Matt Holliday flied to center first time, and he hit that ball pretty deep. 2 hits, around a walk. That is some severe jamage right there. Got to be caught, and it's taken care of by Suzuki. St. Louis gets a couple of runs on 2 hits, and Shelby Miller has a 2-run lead. Third for the Nationals, Espinosa, Suzuki, and Dan Herron. Don't forget about those Netitude Flex packs still on sale. Pick 4 games, get a 5th one free. You have enough games to go to every game this week if you sign up right now. Go to nationals.com/flex. Well, the Nats have to get the bats going. 2 innings today, 9 innings yesterday. Last time the Nats scored a run, the 7th inning on Saturday in New York on Bryce Harper's home run. So I've got that as a 13-inning streak without any offense. And here's Danny Espinosa to try to do something about that.
Well, Shelby Miller early in this game has an extra gear on his fastball. It looks like about the last 5 feet he's got that late life, that giddy up, living up in the strike zone. Take a look at him your first time up. Try to zone him down your second time up. But he hasn't really thrown anything below belt high this whole baseball game. It's all been belt high and above.
First rounder 4 years ago, 19th overall player taken. And that will turn the shoulders of Danny Espinosa, whistling in it. Sure look quicker than 92. Not that 92 isn't quick. FP, what about hitting on a cool night like this early in the season against a guy who throws like this?
Well, I mean, It's not fun, but you have to find a way. And guys will put that ace bandage wrap on the barrel of their bat on real cold days to where you have a little more cushion. But when you talk about the weather that most teams have experienced throughout April in baseball, this is nothing. 46 degrees. I mean, you get going, you get a lather going. I don't think it's an effect at all.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Danny 7 for 39 from the left side of the plate to start the season.
A little cooler in the stands, though.
Oh, yeah. That was an off-speed pitch, 79, and he pulled it to Matt Carpenter. And that's 7 straight for Shelby Miller to start the game with Kurt Suzuki next. Nice crowd on hand, cool night. Right back here tomorrow night, same time. Ross Detweiler, Adam Wainwright. That's a great matchup. And then hopefully a nice warm 1 o'clock game on Wednesday. Strasburg and Jaime Garcia. Strike 1 to Kurt Suzuki, who's 0 for 11 his last few games.
And that's the fastball you're looking for from Shelby Miller in this game. That one down around your knees. Kurt Suzuki, very patient hitter. And that's the one you want to lay off of. Easy to say up here with makeup and a tie on. When you're in that batter's box, that one up in your eyes looks like a beach ball, but it's hard to catch up to when it's mid-90s.
Pumping heaters. They list him at 6'3", 215. He was about to go to Texas A&M when St. Louis drafted him in 09, and they got him. Dan Herron next. Good hitter.
I mean, early in Mariano Rivera's career, he lived off the high heater. I mean, he's known for the cutter, but when he first got called up, every fastball he threw looked like it was going to be belt high or below and end up swinging at it around your letters, maybe even higher than that.
3-2.
And it's kind of what I'm seeing here early from Shelby Miller in this game. A fastball that appears to look like it's going to go down in the zone, but that stays up. That's tough to lay off. Anything in your eyes is easier to see than down below. Looks big.
That one way out of the zone. The Nats get their first base runner. Switch to 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios. Supercharge your internet speeds. So we gave you the pitching matchups for Tuesday, Wednesday. Then the Reds are in Thursday, Friday night. Fox has the 1 o'clock game on Saturday. And then the final one of the homestand will be Sunday afternoon before the Nats head off to Atlanta and Pittsburgh. Can I say there goes the perfect game?
Sure.
Thanks.
Don't worry about jinxing the other team.
Dan Herron, 22 career sacrifice bunts.
Yeah, Saturdays are starting to remind me of Catholic school when we had free dress, because we're off every Saturday and I don't have to wear coat and tie.
Yeah, I've seen you. You look a little scroungy at the ballpark on the weekends these days.
Jeans and t-shirt every Saturday. It's warm. I wear flip-flops.
As I said, you better hope it's not 54 this Saturday for your muscle shirt. No balls, 1 strike to Herron. 1 for 5 this year. Counts even, 1-1.
And if you're butting off a guy that throws high heaters, set your bat at the top of the strike zone. Anything above it, pull it back. It's a ball.
Runner going, and a good jump. And Suzuki's in there, and he's going to third base. Yadier Molina's thrown near the bag, runner arriving at the same time, and the Nats get a runner to third base with 1 out.
I mean, there's 2 ways to steal off Yadier Molina. Number 1, you got to steal off the pitcher. Number 2, you got to ambush him. And Davey Johnson, Trent Jewett putting on a hit and run right here. Dan Herron didn't get a pitch he could handle, but you know what? He did the right thing. He still swung the bat, even though it was a half a swing. It caused Yadier Molina to throw the ball up the line, allowed Kurt Suzuki to go all the way to third base on the air.
So the count's 1-2, and now Herron can swing away and see if he can get his 28th big league RBI. Stolen base, second error of the year on Yadier Molina. How about that? Running the catcher. Herron foul tips it into Molina's mitt, and just as if there was a sacrifice, it'll take a 2-out hit by Denard Span, or a wild pitch to get the Nats on the board.
For you young kids at home and your coach puts on the hit and run, you have to swing the bat regardless of where the pitch is. And it could be a swing like that, doesn't matter, but it still affects the catcher throwing the ball to second base. I thought Dan Herron did a nice job right there on a tough pitch of whatever that swing was to run a little traffic to Yadier Molina.
That was an emergency hack. Denard Span, 5 RBIs as a National. And he pulls this one softly right side, and the Cardinals are out of the inning. Walk, stolen base, error onto the middle innings, and it's St. Louis by 2 early in this series. And Freeze coming up. When the Nats win, everyone wins all season long. When the Nats win and score 7 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com at participating locations in D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. Enter the promo code NATS50. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza, official pizza of your Washington Nationals.
They could have made one, brought it up here, and I could have had 2 pieces by the time you got done with that read.
Well, save some for me. Contrary to what you've made our fans believe, it is my favorite food, not hot dogs. Carlos Beltran rifled a single up the middle first time up, and he's hit this one off to the left. So Beltran with that hit, 7-game hitting streak, and he's now hit safely 11 of his last 12 games. He's 7 for 20 career against Herron. Dan misses low and away. 1-1.
You see the breakdown of Dan Herron tonight. That 88% fastball includes the cutter, and he's been throwing a lot of those. A good one right there, down and in, tough to get to.
Nissan on the pitch track. So choose Nissan.com.
This will go down as a fastball in the stats, but that's a cutter down and in. He's been throwing that far more than the 91 straight fastball that he's been featuring.
That'll play for Danny Espinosa, who has to go to his left and charge that ball a bit. He was playing rather deep on the shift. A big out for Herron to start the 4th. Yadier Molina lined into a 6-4-3 double play. Jose Oquendo played for Whitey Herzog in 89, 163 games, 291, top 10 in hits, triples, walks, on base percentage. Whitey Herzog used to call him his secret weapon. He played all 9 positions in the field during one big league game. And I'm trying to remember back to '89 and why they had an extra game that year. 163 games it said he played in.
You got me. I can't remember yesterday.
In fact, a lot of folks thought that when Tony La Russa left St. Louis that Jose Oquendo would be the next manager. But they put Mike Matheny with no previous managerial experience into that spot. And the loyal company man Oquendo stayed around. Denard Span got a good jump. Dan Herron jamming Yadier Molina, and 2 outs here in the 4th with David Freese coming up. Cool night at the yard. Good to be back home.
There's that fine line if you're Dan Herron right now, busting right-hand hitters in when that ball that Alan Craig hit carried so far. I mean, the book on Molina sometimes is get that fastball in, don't let him get extended. He likes to go the other way. But if you try to get in there and you don't, the way the ball's traveling left field tonight, you could get hurt. I mean, center field and right field, I think, are closed the way the wind is blowing tonight. But left field definitely wide open. It's the jet stream. If you get a ball up, it's going to go.
2 balls, 1 strike to David Freese, who hit .421 against the Nats in the division series last year. And then he hit only .192 against the Giants in the LCS. St. Louis led that series 3-1. And suddenly the Giants pitching staff said, you guys aren't going to hit any more in this series. And the Giants swept into the World Series and really overmatched the Tigers with the way they were throwing the ball. St. Louis thought they were going to another World Series last year. 3-2 pitch and a chopper.
Well, the way the Giants went against the Reds and were down 2-0 and won 3 in Cincinnati, they had the Cardinals exactly where they wanted them.
Evidently. How do you do that? I mean, you know, the Red Sox Yankees back in '04, well documented. How do you do that 2 series in a row, though?
You just feel like you don't have anything to lose and you play free and easy.
3-2 pitch, and that's how to play right. So
you're down 2-0. Maybe you press the first 2 games. You're thinking, ooh, this is the playoffs. We have to be really good, and you try too hard. You're down 2-0, and yeah, well, we're out of this. Let's just go show up and play. And oh, we won that one. And then that pressure switches to the other team, and they become tight.
Davey Johnson waiting for offense when his team gets back in the dugout. Right now hoping Dan Herron can keep this a 2-0 game. 3-2 pitch. That's a fair ball. Worth over to his left. David Freese will make the turn and stop. That's the 4th St. Louis hit. Dan Herron's 1-2-3 first. His only in order inning so far. And that'll bring in the center fielder John Jay. Jay flied to center. First time up.
And there's the flags on the building. About a block away, and that's what the players use to judge the wind. It's above the stadium. So to give you a better idea of which way the wind is really blowing. In a major league ballpark, it can swirl down on the field. So you look over there and see it blowing hard out to left, kind of from the right field foul pole toward the red porch. And that's where Alan Craig's ball was hit.
One ball, 1 strike to John Jay. A .300 career hitter coming into the season, and he's off to a .200 start. That ball just scorched into the end of the Nats dugout.
I almost got Tony Tarasco on a hop.
He made a fine play with that towel he's holding.
Yeah, it looks just like the glove he used to use in right field.
Got the towel up and knocked it down. 1-2 pitch and a chopper. Fortunately, it's near the line, and Jay runs well. Dan Herron takes care of it. Worth, Harper, and LaRoche. Nats need some runs. Where's Abe? You knew something was up. Teddy had a big lead as he goes running by the big 0 for him on the scoreboard. And evidently, Abe left some debris, something on the track. And Teddy, being the ecology and wildlife guy that he is, decided to do some trash keeping.
It's Earth Day. They're picking up the trash.
Okay.
They use the red garbage can. I have a black one, a green one, and a blue one. And all of a sudden, for me, taking out the trash has become a serious deal because I can't decide where to put what and what.
You are a color analyst. You should be able to figure that out.
You just throw it in a garbage can. Now you got 5 choices.
Jason Worth. Shelby Miller, by the way, that's his 39th pitch, 26th strike. Worth has always hit St. Louis well. Struck out swinging first time up, but the Nats haven't faced this pitcher before. And Shelby Miller is living up to the advanced billing that we heard. I wonder if they sent him down a little early on the train from New York, or rather from Philadelphia last night. Deep short, Pete Kozma got rid of it in a hurry, and Alan Craig can't handle the hop. See a play like that, doesn't it make you appreciate Adam LaRoche all that much more?
Well, a great play by Pete Kozma right here to make this close at first base. And I'll tell you what I liked even more than the play. With Matt Carpenter backing up the plays, you look at Jason Worth go by, and Pete Kozma in the hole. Second base was wide open. He could peek up and walk into second base, but Kozma hustled as soon as he threw that baseball to cover second base. You don't see too many big league shortstops do that. Throwing the ball, falling in left field. As soon as he let go of it, he sprinted to second base so that Jason Worth couldn't advance.
It's a tough call for the scorer because it's the first hit of the game, and he did give Jason Worth a hit.
Oh, there goes the no-hitter.
Yeah, a lot of official scores will want to see some kind of no-doubter or absolutely clean hit before they'll give a hitter a hit when a guy hasn't given anything up in the first 3 innings. So here's Bryce Harper. Of course, sometimes earlier in the ball game, like 4th inning as opposed to the 7th. Maybe that helps him with that hit decision. Bryce Harper backs out, ball 1. Harper bounced out to short first time. Well, Harper, his bat produced the most recent Nationals run on Saturday in New York. Be nice to see him break up that 14-inning scoreless streak.
It's one to left. He's got a chance.
He was thinking about it. Let's go inside the numbers with STG Inc. Expos and Nats all time. Harper, 7 home runs with Vlad 13 years ago, all the way back to Gary Carter in '77.
Yeah, a couple Hall of Famers in there and a future Hall of Famer. It's impressive.
Target away. Harper can't get to it. 93 upstairs.
Miller pretty slow to the plate. 1.45 right there. Had him at 1.5 earlier. Kurt Suzuki had a great jump. He stole second base. And very deliberate to the plate.
Harper hits it well to left. Did he get enough of it? It pins Matt Holliday up against the wall, then he makes a fine play. Back to first base, Jason Orth.
Unbelievable.
That's a nice play for a guy not known for great defense.
Good play by Matt Holliday going back on this ball. Bryce Harper maybe didn't get it high enough to utilize the wind, but he sure hit it hard enough. Let the ball travel, got a ball down the zone. I think he thinks that he got it right here. Squared it up, took a look at it. And watch Matt Holliday go to work. Took a little peek there, knew where he was at, reached up, goes in his glove, and takes an extra base hit away from Bryce Harper and maybe a run away from the Nats.
Adam LaRoche is next. He hit a ball deep to center first time up.
I think the ones you'll see carry left field tonight have to be a little bit higher than that, kind of get up out of the stadium to ride that wind.
Worth on the year, 2 stolen bases in 2 attempts. Nats have stolen 8 bags on the year, including Suzuki tonight. Adam LaRoche takes a fastball that whistles to the outside corner. 94 and it's 0-2.
And you got Yadier Molina back there, a guy who's thrown out 41% of the runners throughout his career. And if you're going to steal a bag down by 2 with the thump coming up in the order, you better get a good jump. Shelby Miller very deliberate to the plate, but you also got a guy back there that knows what he's doing, and throughout his career has thrown a lot of base runners out.
Keeping the ball away from LaRoche. Target away again. Up and away, 2-2.
.96% heaters. We've seen that before. Ross Detweiler.
Yeah, who goes tomorrow? Eyes wide open on the base paths. Target away. That's going to strike out LaRoche. 6 strikeouts for Shelby Miller. Nats trying to measure him second time around.
Yeah, fastball on the black, 94, hit the spot, good pitch.
Pitch Track brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at MBUSA.com. We'll see if Ian Desmond goes first pitch fastball hunting here. Miller a walk and an infield hit away from being perfect so far. Struck out Ian Desmond first time up. And with Desmond's MO in mind, Yadier Molina set up outside corner, and his pitcher gave it to him right there.
Well, it's been the book on Ian Desmond. You saw the Mets do it to him all weekend. Fastballs and sliders away. Everyone working Desmond on the outer half of the plate.
Big rip. 0-2.
You see what a good late life fastball can do. A good 94-mile-an-hour fastball can do. Allow you to miss your spot once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that was supposed to be down and away to Ian Desmond. Shelby Miller missed his spot. It was up and in, right where Ian Desmond was looking for it. But due to the velocity of the pitch and the late hop he has on it, tough to catch up to up there. You throw 89, 90, 91, you have to hit your spots. You have to move the ball around. You have to keep it down and mix in some secondary pitches to go with it. But if you throw mid-90s and you have late hop on it like Shelby Miller does, like a lot of the Nationals starters do, it'll allow you to make some mistakes out over the plate in the strike zone.
He goes off speed. Desmond hits it well to center, and that ball is over the head of John Jay. Jason Worth will score. The Nats are on the board.
That'll get some life in that dugout right there. Jason Worth getting aboard with the first knock of the night. Bryce Harper hitting his ball hard. And how about Ian Desmond on this Shelby Miller curveball? Supposed to be down the way, went right back into Ian Desmond's turbo zone. And he was all over it. A line shot to right center. Jason Worth off to the races with 2 outs. And the Nats on the board here in the 4th, making this a 2-1 ball game with their second hit of the night, a double by Ian Desmond.
Nothing bigger than a 2-out run. Here's Anthony Rendon looking for his first big league hit, and it could have an RBI attached to it. Miller struck him out first time, and he gets the strike call up there.
That has to be the top of the zone. I think that's a pitch you got to lay off of until you get to 2 strikes.
There's some noise coming from the first base side. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, consider what kind of inning this might have been if Matt Holliday doesn't make that play he did on the drive by Bryce Harper. Nats are swinging the bats pretty well here in the 4th inning suddenly. Pitch up, so tough to get over the top of it. Anthony Rendon, unbelievable numbers at Rice as we look at our AT&T, or rather our Verizon Fios player profile. Supercharge your internet speed, switch to 100% fiber optic with Verizon Fios. He just put up some amazing numbers at Rice. 371 hitting for his career. 505 on base percentage. A couple of guys from Texas dueling here. Shelby Miller threw 3 consecutive no-hitters in high school. One of them was a perfect game. And Rendon, of course, a dominant college player. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You have that body and that fastball, you should throw 3 consecutive no-hitters in high school.
Yeah, he had 4 total, and 3 of them came in a row, and they were during the playoffs. Can you believe that?
What happened on the 4th game is my question.
I don't know. Maybe that was the last game of the season, and they won the championship. Maybe only the schedule could stop it.
Yeah.
Cold night. That couldn't have felt too good, but he's alive.
His helmet came off in the middle of his swing. Check this out. Kind of emergency hack here. Buy yourself another swing. And watch the helmet. Wasn't pretty, but you buy yourself another chance. That's what good hitters do.
Up and away, 3-2. A pair of 22-year-olds waging a big-time battle here with a tying run at second base. Danny Espinosa, if the fourth inning continues. Target away. Rendon hits it to the gap in right center. Welcome to the major leagues. First base hit. It's got an RBI along with it, and this game is tied.
Well, congratulations from Tony Tarasco right there. Double in the gap, smiles all around. Anthony Rendon fouled off a tough sinker. The helmet came over his face. An emergency hack to buy him another chance. He gets a fastball out over the plate and knows what to do with it. Congratulations on your first big league hit, a double, an RBI, and a tied ball game. A big first knock right there from Anthony Rendon.
Danny Espinosa now. Chance to put the Nats on top suddenly here in the fourth.
The Major League Baseball authenticator guy putting a sticker on his first big league knock.
His name's Bob, by the way.
I like mine better.
Espinosa takes a breaking ball that drops in. That's even 1-1. Ballpark came alive. Nats are back in it.
That fired me up. I always love to see anybody's first big league knock, but it's a 2-out knock to tie a ball game up, a double in the gap. It's beautiful.
Espinosa to left. Matt Holliday right there. So the Nats will pick up 2 game-tying runs on 3 hits. Desmond and Rendon, RBIs.
First big league hit, a double to right center. Pretty good at bat. Fouled off some tough pitches to get to this pitch on the outer half, right into his turbo zone. Did a nice job of getting on top of this pitch, top of the zone, made the adjustment. Well, it's a short, compact swing the other way, and that's where his pop is. A little double into the gap, scoring Ian Desmond, tying this ball game up, and a high five from Tony Tarasco, who he worked with in the minor leagues. And smiles all around, and a lot of love in the dugout when he went back there. First one's the hardest one to get. Check that box. First one was a big one.
Well, Dan Herron back even, faces Pete Kozma. Got the St. Louis rally started with a 1-out base hit. Back in the third. Driven in on the double by Alan Craig. First 4 innings for Herron, 72 pitches, 44 strikes. 2-1.
Well, there's some people around town that may or may not be in our business that think that Ryan Zimmerman was put on the disabled list because of his throwing. And that could be furthest from the truth. If you watch any Nationals game, you know that Ryan Zimmerman had a tough time in Miami getting around the bases. He had a tough time even on his home run trot with that hamstring. It was a cramp that kind of went into something a little more serious, and Davey Johnson didn't want to take any chances on him pulling that thing and missing. So if you've watched any games this year, you know that Ryan Zimmerman hurt his hamstring, and it's another opportunity for somebody else, and that somebody else just came up big with his first big league knock.
Well, and anybody who knows Ryan Zimmerman would never dream up something like that.
Well, anybody who's watched the game wouldn't either.
Leadoff walk here in the 5th inning. Pete Kozma. Dan Herron threw him a 3-1 off-speed pitch. Now the pitcher coming up, and Shelby Miller's already sacrificed once. The ball right in front of the plate. Suzuki thought about second base. Kozma runs well, and Kurt goes 2-4 on the sacrifice to Danny Espinosa. Runner at second, 1 out, top of the order, Matt Carpenter. Harris Teeter Family Fun Pack. Think about it for the weekend. Reds will be in Saturday and Sunday. All-inclusive offer of a ticket for the game, a hot dog, chips, and a drink, $19. Available online only. Go to nationals.com/family. Some restrictions apply. Top of the order, Matt Carpenter. Last time up, Dan Herron walked him, setting up the Craig double. Off-speed pitch outside for a ball.
Well, the one thing if you're Dan Herron you can't do is walk the 8-hole hitter after your team just scored and got you right back into the baseball game to lead off the 5th.
And he didn't challenge Pete Kozma. Threw him a 3-1 off-speed pitch. You have to pitch around that. Get Carpenter, take your chances with Craig so you don't have to face Matt Holliday.
It's a good pitch. That two-seam fastball, tried to run it back. Good frame by Suzuki. Pitch track didn't like it. Dan Herron didn't like the call.
Right side, Espinosa again from the outfield grass. Danny's arm enables him to play possibly deeper than any other second baseman in the National League. See your authorized Dodge dealer and experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Schedule a test drive. Dodge.com. Check out the powerful lineup. So, highest percentage of base runners who score. Look at that. Almost 42% of the guys they get on base come all the way around. That is impressive. And you might have seen the bottom line. That does not include home runs. I guess the thinking is if you hit a home run, you get on base, you should score. That's on the inside corner to Alan Craig, as Herron jammed him on the first one.
Well, Mike Matheny likes to play small ball. Sometimes he gets criticized for hitting, running, and butting guys over and playing the game the way I think it's supposed to be played. And the sabermetrics people don't like the bunt, but you see that stat right there. Mike Matheny's doing something right by the way he runs his offense.
Mike Matheny was Rick Ankiel's first catcher in Major League Baseball. And a lot of folks thought Mike, as much as anybody, as much as Rick almost, really did a great job of guiding him through that 11-7 rookie season that Ankiel had. No balls and 2 strikes. Herron staying inside on Alan Craig.
I miss watching Rick Ankiel throw the baseball from center field. Every time a ball was hit to him and there was a play, he'd stand up, everybody on their feet. Want to see that bazooka that he featured out there?
Well, he's in right field in Houston right now. Seattle just underway there. Rich batting 8th and playing right field. Not a bad arm to have on that side. Justin Maxwell, the former Nat, plays center field for the Astros. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Alan Craig. Swing and a miss. He just stayed inside on Craig the entire at bat. Suzuki Heron span coming up now in a tie game. Daily departures now between D.C. and New York. Book now, Amtrak.com. They bring you the game summary. Alan Craig has driven in both the St. Louis runs. And Ian Desmond, Anthony Rendon with a couple of drives to equalize.
Yeah, a couple of two-out doubles. Ian Desmond got a curveball right down the middle, drove it to right center field. And Anthony Rendon, battling with two strikes, gets a fastball in the outer half. And that's the swing we saw in spring training, the right center field stroke. Tarasco throws the ball out, and Anthony Rendon, congratulations, you are on the board. And that ball will be on your mantle the rest of your life.
Nice reward for his folks who had so many travails of travel just to get here. Bottom of the fifth underway, and a breaking ball for a strike. Kurt Suzuki, Shelby Miller's 66th pitch of the night. The Nats made him throw 27 pitches. Last inning. No balls, two strikes.
Shocker, another close game between the Cardinals and the Nationals.
Well, to be honest with you, I like close games. Haven't seen enough of them this year. Upstairs. Suzuki walked, stole a base, went to third on Molina's throwing error, his first time up. That was with one out back in the third. Nats couldn't plate him. He's leading off here. Target way out there. I guess he missed his spot and he struck out the hitter. Strikeout number 7 for Shelby Miller. PNC Bank for the achiever in you. We check in on Chris Marrero, another former #1 draft pick. Chris is healthy now, and he's off to a great start with AAA Syracuse. The homers, the RBIs, the batting average, getting it done. And of course, we talked to Jonathan Solano when he came up to the ball club over a week ago. Syracuse, not a fun place to hit early in the season when you're home, and some of the other stops around the International League are very cold as well. Get off to that kind of start, you're in for a good summer. And maybe not all of it in the minor leagues. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2 quickly to Dan Heron here with one out.
There's the onion.
5. Jonathan Solano.
Love the way that guy plays.
What if we'll see him Wednesday for the day game after night game?
There's a lot of energy.
Wilson Ramos next to him.
Said his hamstring's feeling better today.
This isn't hamstring weather, though, man. You know, and this to me tells you all the more the Nats made a wise decision with Ryan Zimmerman. You're going to put him out here on a night like this? No way. No balls, two strikes. Oh, he swung and missed, evidently. At first, it sounded like Heron might have foul tipped that ball. Then he turned around and ran. Molina throws him out. Strikeout number 8. The mess and word of the day is back. It is Taft. Text Taft to 29292. Your chance to win a meet and greet with Mike Rizzo. Stay tuned all week long. More chances to win with Masson.
Taft backward is fat.
So his nickname would be T-Fat?
Sure.
You are so cruel.
Well, he's the largest president we ever had. He couldn't sit in his seat the whole game.
That's why the 7th inning stretch was born, huh?
Yep.
That ball hit well. And right at Carlos Beltran. Denard Span stinging that ball. It's a 1-2-3 fifth for Shelby Miller. 2-2. Energy to this ball club may be here in the latter part of April 2013. Anthony Rendon can do the same.
Well, he brought some excitement to the ballpark. He brought some excitement to his dugout and definitely some to the booth. So yeah, big knock by Anthony Rendon. He's on the board now, and you just hope they keep heading in that direction with young players helping them out. I mean, it's been kind of the theme the last couple of years. Don't forget that Tyler Moore and Steve Lombardozzi did for this ball club last year too, on top of what Bryce Harper did right around this time.
Yeah, today's April 22nd. I think Bryce Harper, about 5 or 6 days after this last year, reported to Dodger Stadium. Tyler Moore the next day.
Yeah, maybe the most under the radar call up in the history of baseball. Tyler Moore the next day after Bryce Harper.
Yeah. Matt Holliday, fly ball to center. Pop up to the catcher, but he's had an influence on this game with his glove. And Herron hits him. Dan's been pitching inside to some of these big, strong St. Louis hitters, and Matt Holliday's aboard. Matt Holliday's taken a lot of fastballs to the body over the years.
Well, he's a diver. He's the guy that gets off the plate, dives into the plate. Doesn't like the ball close to him. Historically has hit righties better than lefties because he likes the ball moving away from him, not into him.
Carlos Beltran, base it up the middle, ground ball to Espinosa. Base it again. Carlos Beltran has made a remarkable recovery from some of those knee problems that some people thought him all but finished just a couple of years ago. St. Louis box score. They've gone in order just once. That was the first inning. Multi-hit night now for Beltran. Yadier Molina coming in. He's lined hard into a double play and flied out to center. Lines that ball to the gap. Worth will pick it up on a hop. They're going to send the lead runner, and St. Louis takes the lead. Yadier Molina, 12th RBI. 3 straight men on base here, 6th inning.
A nice piece of hitting right there from Yadier Molina. You knew he was going to go the other way. We dropped the stat on you before the game. The Cardinals lead all of Major League Baseball with a .368 average with runners in scoring position. You see why right here. Veteran guys trying to use the whole field, going the other way. Pretty good read by Matt Holliday on second base, taken off right off the crack of the bat like there was 2 outs. He saw it was going to drop in front of Worth. And some serious fast break offense from the Cardinals here in the 6th. Bam, 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 3-2.
Greg Stammen, hero of Saturday's win at New York, out of the bullpen, up and throwing in a hurry here in the 6th inning. And contrary to what you heard on Saturday, he has not changed his name. Here's David Freese.
Well, I think we saw Dan Herron's last outing in the 5th inning in Miami hit the wall. And you could tell when he was gassed. And you just hope the same thing isn't happening right here in the 6th inning with a couple of hard hit balls wrapped around a hit by pitch.
Had Jordan Zimmerman threw the complete game on Monday. Herron was out of the game after 93 pitches, 4 1/3. Right now he's thrown 94. Jordan, a hard luck loser yesterday. Had to battle his way through some long pitch counts. And Herron buries that one to David Freese. The count's 1-2.
You remember Freese's first at-bat in the 2nd inning. Dan Herron struck him out with the best split I've seen Herron throw early in this 2013 season. A lot like that one right there, down and under his hands with a lot of movement.
The left-handed hitter, John Jay, next. That bounces, and Suzuki makes a fine play. Textbook kept the ball right out in front.
One of the more athletic catchers in the big leagues, Kurt Suzuki, doing a nice job of keeping that ball in front and then getting up out of his crouch and pouncing on it so that Beltran couldn't advance.
3-2 pitch, 2 on. Bases are loaded on a fastball that misses.
And Herron thought he made the pitch, and it looks like Davey Johnson's going to come out and get him. Let's see where it was. Thought it was inside, and it was. Herron turns his back to Suzuki. A little body language right there, and that's going to do it for Dan Herron tonight.
He will not be able to get an out in the 6th inning. So Herron is gone. Bases loaded, 1 run in. This call to the bullpen, packaged by the UPS Store. We love logistics. St. Louis pressuring the Nats here. A run home, top of the 6th. Craig Stammen pitched out standing baseball in New York. Couple of innings. He was totally dominant. A lot of strikeouts on Saturday. Going to face John Jay here. Nats at double play depth except for Rendon and LaRoche. They're what you would call closer than even with their bags at third and first. Ball 1.
Well, this is all about damage control for Davey Johnson and the Nationals right now. Bases loaded, nobody out, looking for that ground ball double play. Give up a run for 2 outs.
John Jay 0 for 2 career against Stammen, who misses with the first 2. Bouncing ball. LaRoche home for 1. A return throw. Got them both. A 3-2-3 double play.
That was huge. Adam LaRoche did a nice job of getting back to the bag, and he almost got handcuffed with the throw from Kurt Suzuki. I don't know if he lost it in John Jay, but watch how tricky this is coming back to LaRoche. Get rid of it. Good throw on the money. Suzuki gives him time to clear, get back to the bag. Little handcuff right there for the 3-2-3 double play. Just what the doctor ordered. Great pitch right there from Craig Stammen. Big time pitch in a big time situation.
And the Nats aren't going to pitch to Pete Kozma this time. They'll face Shelby Miller with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Well, we talk about this all the time. You want to face a guy who's paid to hit or one who's not. This would be remarkable if Stammen could keep this a 1-run game into the bottom of the 6th.
He's been so valuable last year, this year. Davey Johnson loving to go to Craig Stammen when he needs that ground ball or the strikeout with the now you see it, now you don't slider. How huge was that pitch to John Jay? Still some work to do, obviously. But that was nice.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. Shelby Miller 2 for 8 as a big league hitter. Dan Herron, by the way, in 5+, 98 pitches, 57 strikes. .90 right by him.
Two-seam fastball right down the middle. Shelby Miller a little bit late. You got to come in there now. You don't want to get to a 3-ball count against the opposing pitcher with the bases loaded. This is the money pitch right here for Craig Stammen. Huge part of this baseball game right here, right now.
And even when he throws that ball up a little bit, still got that late dip to it. And the count's 2-2.
Tough decision right here for Kurt Suzuki and Craig Stammen. You've thrown the heater by him twice. Don't want to speed him up with a slider, but that's your out pitch.
He goes with a sinker, and the inning is over. Craig Stammen becoming more and more valuable out of that bullpen every time he throws. Sweater and a nice jersey over the top of it. Hi, buddy. You are worth it. Bottom of the sixth coming up. Guess who's leading off? After we tell you about Miller Lite Party Night. They're back on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Get a Scoreboard Pavilion seat and drink starting at $21. Available online only. Visit nationals.com/party. Some restrictions apply. Jason Worth got the Nats 2-run rally started 2 innings ago against Shelby Miller with an infield hit. Miller's thrown 75 pitches, 51 for strikes. Well, Craig Stammen, the star of this one right now, based on the fact that it's still 3-2.
Unbelievable job right there by Stammen. You come into a ball game that looks like it has a chance to get away. Bases loaded, nobody out, to a team that, as we've said tonight, knows how to drive in runs. Gets the double play, gets the strikeout after the intentional walk. Thanks for coming.
Worth, Harper, LaRoche here. That ball is rocked, well foul. The Nats box. Not a lot of hits, but all 3 of them in 1 inning. The double by Desmond, the double by Rendon. They traded places to tie the game in the 4th.
Didn't like the call.
Tell you what, Jim Wolf likes fastballs more than he likes cutters and splitters. Worth has to swing on 0-2. What are you going to do? Easy fly ball, Beltran. Head and shoulders whiff. Bryce Harper's last at bat.
A first pitch fastball down, he shows bunt. Fastball up, lines it foul. Gets another fastball top of the zone and gets one on the outer half that we thought when he hit it had a chance, and Matt Holliday robs him on the track. Bryce Harper not happy.
Gets a first pitch breaking ball for a strike at 79. Bryce 0 for 2. By the way, when he has a multi-hit game, the Nats are 9-0 this year. Target away.
When he hits 2 home runs, they're 2-0 too, I believe.
Yeah, those are multi-hit games.
Yeah.
Shelby Miller starting to mix in a little more breaking stuff, little off-speed stuff here in the middle of his game. He's over 80 pitches in the 6th. That's an off-speed pitch, and he does a good job against Bryce Harper, who's 0 for 3. See your authorized Dodge dealer. Performance, design, fuel efficiency. Schedule a test drive. Shelby Miller getting exactly half the run support all the other guys on this staff are getting. That's why he's not unbeaten with an ERA coming in of 1.96.
Hal others happy. Shelby Miller not. They're scoring some runs for Al.
Yeah. I thought his name was Harvey Holstaff. League hitting 169 against Miller coming in. St. Louis depending on a lot of young pitching this year. Once they're past Adam Wainwright and Jaime Garcia, Jake Westbrook. That ball well hit by LaRoche. Heading near the bullpen, and Holliday is right there. So close lately. Runs have been hard to come by. Into the 7th we go. Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. Alan Craig, 2 of the 3 St. Louis RBIs. Anthony Rendon, first hit, run batted in. Craig Stammen, great last inning to keep this thing 3-2.
We got the ground ball double play off the bat of John Jay. Good feed from LaRoche. Kurt Suzuki keeping the ball on the inside. A little point back from LaRoche. At a baby. And how about that two-seam fastball right there? High fives all around the dugout. Confidence growing every time he takes the mound. Even counting last year for Craig Stammen.
He has found a home in the bullpen. Told me on Sunday morning he's still learning something every time he goes out there. He's leaning on some of the veteran guys out there to just make him more familiar with that role all the time. Maybe they should start coming to him the way he's going. 12 pitches to get out of that jam, and a ground ball base hit. I tell you, this team is relentless when they play the Nats. It seems like they have people on base every inning. Tonight, all but one. And that's Matt Carpenter checking in with a 1 for 3 and a walk. Can't believe this team's hitting .242. Next up, Alan Craig, 1 for 3 with that big double.
Well, when the weather changes, that'll change.
Good breaking ball.
It's so big for Stammen last inning to keep it right where it's at right here. You're down by 1 run, but if you look at what the Cardinals bullpen has done this year, last year 78-5 when they took a lead into the 8th inning. That's a .940 win percentage. I think all Nats fans know how good the Cardinals bullpen was last year. In 18 games this year, they've already lost 3 leads in the 8th inning.
Broken bat and a base hit. Table set for Holiday and Beltran. They've out-hit the Nationals 8-3. And by the way, in this ballpark, since 2010 regular season games, the Nats are 9-2 against St. Louis. Only allowed him to win 1 game here last year. So here's Matt Holliday, 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, the Cardinals this year 9-3 when they've had the lead after the 8th inning.
And they're missing Jason Mott big time. They're going to find out sometime this month whether or not he'll need Tommy John surgery. And managers and pitching coaches will tell you, FP, when you lose a guy like that, everybody else is suddenly out of their regular roles in the bullpen. It's not just one guy you have to move into a closer. It's 3 or 4 guys who are now doing something different than what they've been accustomed to. And that's where the real rub comes in for a bullpen, where you're moving people around trying to win games.
Well, it's one thing if you lose your closer and you're settled and you just say, okay, you're my closer, you're my 8th inning guy now, you're my 7th inning guy now. And I think, you know, we saw that here last year, but it's another thing where Mike Matheny's shuffling guys around because no one's getting the job done.
Could be 2. Rendon, Espinosa, and the Nats turn their 3rd double play of the night.
And you got that two-seam fastball, that sinker in your back pocket. Greg pitch right here from Craig Stammen. Gets the ground ball to Rendon for a little 5-4-3 double play. Perfect feed. Something on it to Espinosa to complete the double play. Watch the feed. Perfect. Right where you want it. Glove side. Don't have to move it. Not into the runner.
Tough matchup here. Carlos Beltran is 0 for 3 career against Craig Stammen.
I'm not sure, but it seems like that's his first ground ball chance in 2 games.
I think it is.
I don't remember him getting anything other than a pop-up yesterday and a throw from Ian Desmond. Nothing in this game up to that point.
Yeah, you're right. No 5s on the scorecard after the foul pop yesterday.
So he's 1 for 1 on defense.
Beltran appeared to be locked up. No swing, says Jeff Nelson. Ball 2.
How about the block from Kurt Suzuki right there? Runner on third, 2 outs. You just complete the double play. You're hoping it's a rally killer if you're a National. And watch the block right here. Get your body in front, get your glove down. Fix your shin guard and go get him. I think he likes that sinker versus Yadier Molina better than he likes the slider sinker combo.
Yeah.
After falling behind to Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, that pitch would tell you he's looking forward to the right-handed batter here. Don't just groove one on 3-0 to this guy. He did pull the trigger, but it had enough tail to get to the outer part of his bat. And Craig Stammen with 5 ground ball outs in 2 innings, keeping this a 3-2 game, time to stretch. A great start, 3-1, a 2.48 ERA in 4 starts. And for the Nationals, against his hometown team, Ross Detweiler, 0.90 ERA, 2 earned runs in 20 innings. He deserves a much better record. So, Johnny and Ray from the ballpark at 6:30. FPBC from the booth at 7. First pitch 7:05. Game 2 tomorrow night. Get a move on to your Hyundai dealer during the Let's Go sales event. Find great savings in every new Elantra, but hurry. This event ends April 30th. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Hyundai. You can sing your lungs out and hit all the high notes right here at the ballpark. Desmond, Rendon, Espinosa. Bottom 7. Shelby Miller about to throw his 85th pitch. Was not a fastball, it appeared. High throw, Cosma, and Alan Craig pulls it down. Into the 9 o'clock hour here at Nationals Park. Bob and FP. And it's the bottom of the 7th inning with Rendon coming up next. Anthony, his first major league hit last time. A solid gapper to right center to tie the game back in the 4th.
Ryan Matthews getting loose in the Nationals bullpen.
One ball, one strike.
Just such a smooth approach. Not a lot of movement. Getting that foot down early. Very quiet. Keeping his head still. Joe Kelly getting hot.
Yeah, another flamethrower out there. 2-1 pitch. Rendon takes a big time rip.
Good take. Got it to a 3-2 count for his first big league hit. Got a fastball down and away. Let's see where Shelby Miller goes right here. Same count, same situation. Except for there's nobody on.
Rendon to the right side. Easy play. Matt Carpenter, 2 outs. Tonight's copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Danny Espinosa's grounded out to second. Flight out to left. Danny hitting 163. That's a rifle shot to left. One of his better swings of the season so far. And the Nats have the tying run on here in the 7th.
That had to feel good for Danny Espinosa, squaring up a baseball like that, going the other way, letting the ball travel on the outer half. Now he's looking to steal a base, getting a scoring position here with 2 outs. Perfect swing. You see Molina setting up, maybe a ball off the plate. And if you're Danny Espinosa, that's got to be a confidence builder in the fact that you just covered a fastball mid-90s off the plate away and hit it hard to left field. Good plate coverage.
Danny stole 20 bags last year, caught just 6 times.
Well, Miller sped up his delivery right there. That combo plus Yadier Molina means going to be tough to steal second.
Roger Bernardino for Craig Stammen next. Now it's Chad Tracy. Man, how quick are those guys trading places?
Well, they're all loose down there in the tunnel, hitting in the cage. They all have their gloves on. They all have their helmets ready to go.
Upstairs, 2-0.
About the 5th inning on, if you're a pinch hitter or you're an extra guy, you start to get loose. You go down the tunnel. You get your batting gloves on. You're ready for that pitcher spot. Chad Tracy's ready from about 2:30, though.
Ball 3 to Kurt Suzuki.
Some good takes by Suzuki, just teasing the top of the strike zone with that fastball. And we've seen a number of hitters tonight off right at Kurt Suzuki. Zoning Shelby Miller down. Some borderline pitches, top of the zone. Good takes.
'97th pitch about to be delivered. Wow, Kurt Suzuki flinching a little bit. And a strike. A long 4th inning. When the Nats got their 2 runs on 3 hits. Now the lead runs on base.
And here comes Mike Matheny, going to make a change.
So Shelby Miller will be done after 6 2/3. He only gave up 4 hits all night, but a couple of walks here, making it a ball game. Nats finally into the St. Louis bullpen. by PNC Bank for the achiever in you, and by your local BMW Center. Cold night on the banks of the Anacostia. 54 degrees at game time. 3-2. Tracy about to hit with a couple of guys on base, and we've had 2 walks tonight for the Nats. Every time that happens, $50 more to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, D.C. from Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. 57 walks, getting closer and closer to $3,000 so far this year. 24-year-old Joe Kelly, 24 games, 16 starts last year. This guy struck out 75 in 107 innings.
Yeah, 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, curveball, change. A fastball mid-90s, this year averaging 95 miles an hour.
Chad Tracy has faced him once before, missing the bullseye. Well, the Nats on that list as well of teams over 5 runs a game. See your authorized Dodge dealer at Dodge.com. You can check them out. Their full lineup with some ball clubs that are definitely having bullpen issues. Now, this may encourage you. The Nats on the road trip, their bullpen ERA was 2.87, so that number's on its way down. And Craig Stammen took it down a couple of clicks tonight, too.
Well, this is where if you're Chad Tracy, you have a few starts under your belt, and you have some ammunition to go up there with. As a pinch hitter, when you're just a pinch hitter, you can go 4, 5, 6 games without an AB because of the injury to Zimmerman. Tracy with some at-bats on the road, so that's something to work with right here against Joe Kelly.
0 for 1 career against Kelly. First pitch hacking, like a lot of pinch hitters do late in ball games. Chad on the year as a pinch hitter, 1 for 5.
Look at that big hole up the middle for Chad Tracy. Huge hole.
Good take. Counts even 1-1. Tyler Clippard now joining Ryan Matthews. Matthews, if the Nats are behind, most probably. Clippard if they tie or take the lead. Tracy, center field, broke his bat, and it is caught by John Jay. Well, sometimes a center fielder can save a game in the 7th inning. John Jay keeps the Nats from tying this game, or maybe more. We'll tell you about Ryan Matthews in a moment. Don't forget about that Natitude Flex Pack. Still on sale. Pick 4 games. Get a 5th one free. Nationals.com/flex. Ryan Matthews trying to bring down that 4.32 ERA. Saw some action, 2/3 of an inning, a run on 2 hits in the game at New York on Saturday, his most recent appearance.
Yeah, 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball, slider split for Matthews. Velocity down from last year, averaging the fastball 92 miles an hour. Last year 93, almost 94. I think he's a guy, though, when his velocity's down, that 2-seam fastball actually has a little more run into a right-handed hitter.
Yadier Molina 1 for 3 with an RBI single. A base hit back in the 6th inning. The difference in this game.
The difference in the game right now might be that play that John Jay just made on Chad Tracy.
Yeah.
That had Bat Died a Hero written all over it. He came in, nice running catch. Looked like it was going to drop.
One ball, 1 strike to Molina. Hitting .324 just as he started the night.
Jim Wolf just threw that new ball into play to Ryan Matthews, maybe harder than Matthews threw it to the plate. Did you see that? Got a cannon.
I told you he likes the fastball. Breaking ball for a strike. Molina unreachable. First out, top of the 8th.
Yeah, good pitch right here from Ryan Matthews, going to his bread and butter with 2 strikes. I'm trying to figure out if that was a slider, a fork, whatever it was strike 3. It was a good pitch.
5 Ks by the Nat staff tonight. $37 times 5 to the Children's Inn at National Institutes of Health. And that's thanks to our DC area Toyota dealers, making a difference for kids and their families at NIH. David Freese, base hit, walk, 1 for 2. That's locking up a hitter with some hard stuff diving down and in.
And a pretty good 2-seam fastball from Matthews. Late movement. Running all over David Freese. Watch the late action. Wow. It's as good a 2-seamer as there is in baseball.
Has to fight that one off, and Danny Espinosa has it. Ryan Matthews trying to get his teammates right back in the dugout for the top of the order in the bottom of the 8th. That'll bring in John Jay, who made that sparkling play a moment ago. That is right-hander, another guy who can really throw hard, Trevor Rosenthal.
He throws a million. Fastball upper 90s. He touches triple digits at times.
Oh boy. Ryan Matthews trying to make it a quick 8th. John Jay 0 for 3. Showed him the fastball, 95.
Turn around, look at the scoreboard. If you're Ryan Matthews and see just threw 95, that might have been his hardest fastball of the year. I like the 92 that he featured to Molina.
Those were the breaking ball that time. He'll throw the breaker like Tyler Clippard on occasion. Just another look. Three-2 ball game, top of the 8th. Ryan Matthews trying to keep it that way. After Craig Stammen had a remarkable 2 innings out of the bullpen, a pair of double plays, a strikeout, somehow able to keep this a 1-run game. Up the middle. Espinosa to his right. What a strong arm. And Danny makes a fine play. Bottom of the 8th. Span, Worth, and Harper.
Couple of ground balls and a K. Katy Perry getting her done.
The ultimate triple play is slots, tables, and dining at Hollywood Casino Charlestown Races. Extra base hits, the Nats right behind the Rockies. We're hitting the daylights out of the ball. Braves and the Rockies lead the league in homers. Nats right behind them, and Washington right up there with Ian Desmond leading the way with Bryce Harper. All those extra base hits.
Look at these ballparks, though, that these guys play in. Colorado, Arizona, Cincinnati, those are very hitter-friendly parks.
Altitude, desert, bandbox. Yeah, you're right. Trevor Rosenthal. Watch the radar gun on this guy. Wow, that's one of the softer ones, 94. 10 2/3 innings so far, 13 strikeouts, but he's given up 14 hits. League hitting well over 300 against him, which is odd.
Yeah, 4-pitch guy, fastball, cutter, curveball, change. A fastball averaging 97 miles an hour this year.
He made 48 minor league starts. That's why he has all those pitches. Denard Span 0 for 3 tonight, and Span has never faced this right-hander. '86.
It's a changeup right there.
Nasty. Late swing, fair ball, foul ground, air-nailed on the throw, and Span is safe. Pretty good play over there by Alan Craig. Base hit all the way for Denard Span to lead off the 8th.
An unbelievable play by David Freese to make it that close. I thought as soon as Denard Span hit this ball, Freese had to go toward the bag, that this is a knock all the way, put it in your pocket. Did you see where that ball hit? It almost hit behind the plate in the right-handed batter's box. Good job right there getting the base by Denard Span. There's a lot of traffic. Little hop, touches the base. And Alan Craig thinks his foot was on, but the throw was late, and it didn't matter. It was irrelevant. Game on, leadoff man on here for the Nats in the 8th in the form of Denard Span in a one-run game.
And it looked like he was right in the middle of the bag, and Denard Span anticipating the contact, still getting to the bag. Jason Worth 1 for 3. That was an amazing first hop by that ball. Well into foul ground. 0-1 to Worth. They are in a no doubles defense right now. Center fielder John Jay extremely deep.
Now check out where this ball hits off the bat of Denard Span. Watch in the right-handed batter's box. I mean, that ball is 5 feet foul. Comes back fair. A lot of spin on that ball for Freese, and a great play across his body to make it that close.
Worth had a big time swing, and it's 0-2. Heart of the order coming.
Well, the one thing we know about Jason Worth, the more fastballs he sees in a sequence, the better he gets. Yeah, I'm thinking it. Why not?
Yadier Molina wanted that pitch up, and then he came up and in.
Did you see the sign from Yadi? He asked for a fastball, then he did the thumb, which means he wanted it up. That was up and in. A close shave right there for Jason Worth. Watch how close this is. Mid-90s fastball coming at your nugget. That'll get a lot of attention in the Nationals dugout. Coming in is one thing. Coming up and in around your head's another.
What does he follow it up with? Tried to go low and away with 97. Jason in one of those at bats now where he's fouling pitches off. And you know what that could lead to.
Well, it's just got to get to 13.
Worth career against Rosenthal. One plate appearance. It was a walk. Span went dancing way off the bag and then came back on a breaking ball that missed outside. 2-2.
Great take right there by Jason Worth. Seen all fastballs in this at bat, all mid to upper 90s. Drops a deuce, he's able to hold up. A lot of guys swing right there.
Pitch inside, Worth can't get to it. Power matchup, and the power arm gets the first out.
That was 98 with a lot of run on it. Most of the fastballs in this sequence straight from Rosenthal. That one he got inside of, threw it as hard as he could. 98, watch the movement. Worth thinks it's going to be straight, tries to get on top. And a runner from Rosenthal strikes Worth out.
Bryce Harper faces Rosenthal for the first time. 0 for 3 tonight against Shelby Miller with 2 grounders and that deep fly that pinned Matt Holliday up against the left field wall.
You see four-seam, 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 mid-90s as a hitter, and all of a sudden you get to 2 strikes, and he throws what I don't even know if he knew was a 2-seam fastball. Sometimes when guys throw that hard, the ball does what it wants, but that 2-seam fastball really took off on Worth in that 2-strike count.
Good take by Harper. 2-0. 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. And 5 of those have been in situations to tie it or jump on top. Changeup. There's a little respect on 2-0.
Yeah, I don't know if it's respect or
fear.
Fear, or but now you're in a 3-0 count. In danger of putting the tying run on second base with a ball.
Yeah, for a proven RBI man. Taking all the way, Leonard high fastball, 3-1.
Well, now decision time for Davy Johnson. Do you start Denard Span here in a 3-1 count? I feel like you do start him in a 3-2 count right now. Maybe in a 3-1 count, you don't want to take the bat out of Bryce Harper's hands to where he has to expand the strike zone to protect the runner. You want him to be thinking 4-3 ball game. But I think in a 3-2 count, you look at Bryce's average, maybe you start Denard Span right here and get him on the move and hope that Bryce Harper can find a gap.
Span running. Harper takes it low, 2 on, 1 out. Good at bat by the second-year man, Bryce Harper, with Adam LaRoche coming up. And the lead runs on base again like it was last inning.
See, that's good baseball right there by Bryce Harper. He wants to force the issue. He wants to win the baseball game, but he didn't get a whole lot to hit in that sequence. So what do? As we saw a lot of times earlier in the season last year, keep that line moving. Trust the guy behind you to get the job done.
Adam LaRoche, 0 for 1 career against Trevor Rosenthal.
You're going to go to Zepchinski or Choate right here?
Well, Randy Choate's been warming up for quite a while. Just for the fun of it, let's see what Worth is against Choate career. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Edward Mujica has been their closer lately. So Choate has sat down for the moment. And LaRoche swings at the first pitch. High chopper. There's 1 play. Runners move up. 2 down.
Well, not what Adam LaRoche wanted right there, but it put the go-ahead run in scoring position. And the go-ahead run with some heat in Bryce Harper. Tying run right there. Denard Span, go-ahead run. Bryce Harper on second base, and the stage set for Ian Desmond.
Young St. Louis pitching staff. They're in the other division, of course, the Central. So the Nats haven't seen these guys a whole lot. A lot of 0 for 1s against some of these pitchers. Ian Desmond, 1 career at bat with a strikeout against Trevor Rosenthal. Tonight, 1 for 3 with that double over the head of John Jay in center. Right down the middle. 96. St. Louis outfield deep. Beltran by far has the best arm out there. That's up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Third base Span, second base Harper, great speed. 97. Strike 2.
And just a challenge fastball right down the middle, and that's Park Very quiet right now with the tying run on second base in the bottom of the 8th. This is where if you're a player on the road, you can really feel the heat from the home fans, and maybe it's just too cold to clap tonight.
Desmond looks at it, inning over. Nationals have stranded 6 tonight. This one into the 9th inning. St. Louis by 1. Mound, and he'll face Pete Kozma, Daniel Descalso, first 2 hitters. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Join the millions of fans and subscribe. Every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile device. HD quality MLB.TV premium. So visit MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. 2 of the 3 St. Louis hitters instrumental in that Game 5 9th inning last fall. And Drew Storen will see him here in reverse order. Led off by Pete Kozma.
And see the numbers on Storen. Opponents hitting .345 against Drew, but the lefties has been the problem. .455 average, seeing the ball well. A 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, change. Now fastball averaging 93 miles an hour this year.
Mid-Atlantic Sports Report back tomorrow, 5 to 6:30. If you missed today's show, you missed Harrisburg manager Matt Lecroy talking about Anthony Rendon. Start your night of Nats baseball tomorrow. Tom Davis, Dave Johnson, Phil Wood, and Mel Antonin. Pete Kozma goes up hacking, fouls one straight back. Kozma career against Drew Storen, 1 for 2.
I think a lot of times with Drew Storen, you think about velocity and maybe get caught up in it too much. For me, with his fastball, the two-seam movement is way more important than whatever mile per hour is up on the scoreboard. And I think at times this year his fastball's flattened out on him a little bit. 95 right there. Good pitch down the zone. Good location.
Kozma on base 3 times tonight. Base hit, a walk, and an intentional base on balls. Good slider, just low.
I mean, there was times a few years ago where we would sit up here and giggle at the movement on the Drew Storen two-seam fastball. And there was a couple that I can remember at a few save opportunities that just took off almost wiffle ball-like.
There he goes, right down the middle. Kozma locked up. Good snap on that one. First out, 9th inning.
A good slider right there from Drew Storen. Got ahead with the fastball. And anytime he gets ahead into a 2-strike count, you're going to see the slider. And a perfect pitch locked up Kozma for the strikeout. Really got that out in front, over the top.
Daniel Descalso, First pinch hitting appearance of the year. 26-year-old infielder from Redwood City, California, and UC Davis. Pop up on the infield. Anthony Rendon, the call, puts him right in front of the mound. 2 outs. Top of the order, Matt Carpenter. And in the ninth, in case you're not aware, Rendon, Espinoza, and Suzuki due up for the Nats. Adam Wainwright, Ross Detweiler, 7:05 tomorrow night. Johnny and Ray, Nats Extra, 6:30. Matt Carpenter tonight on base twice. 1 for 3 with a walk and a run. Damaging walk back in the third. Deep short. Desmond backhand. He'll bounce it. And what a pick by Adam LaRoche. That is a Gold Glover, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Rendon will lead off, bottom of the ninth. The Nats looking to tie or walk away.
Show is just around the corner as the Nationals go to the bottom of the ninth inning here against the St. Louis Cardinals. First of 3, trying to get this thing in the win column, Ray, and 3 more opportunities. Been an interesting ball game, hasn't it?
It has been an interesting ball game. That kid over there, Miller, another one of those guys that just bring it all night long, and the bullpen's 98, 97, but a superb job by the Nationals bullpen tonight. You just need a key base hit. Hadn't been able to get that.
We saw Anthony Rendon get his first hit and RBI tonight.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, he smiles all the time. He's a little bit like Gio in that he's smiling all the time. Very happy to be here, enjoying that experience, and we'll remember that obviously forever.
Well, Ray and I will be smiling if Bob at FP and the ball club can pull this out, either tie it or send it to extra. Let's go back upstairs to Bob at FP.
All right, gentlemen, stay warm out there. You're about to be put to work. It's the bottom of the ninth. Let's have a look at our drive of the game, brought to you by Kia. Visit Kia.com. Learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing brands in America.
First big league nut for Anthony Rendon in the gap. Right center field, 2-out RBI. Scores Ian Desmond. He's on the board with a knock and an RBI. And that's your Kia drive of the game. High fives in the dugout. Congratulations, Anthony Rendon. And what you did not see in that post-game shot of those two is they both have shorts on out there in that set.
That's a disturbing visual. Bottom of the ninth, Edward Mujica, who's always had a great arm. 4 major league saves in his entire career coming into the season. And he has 1 for St. Louis. He can bring it. Got a splitter. Looks like it. Nasty. Rendon obviously seeing him for the first time. And the count's 0-2. Got him. That one elevated a little bit. Had severe drop right at the end. 1 out. Every time an ad hits a home run this season, $250 to the Children's National Medical Center. So the Nats have already hit 23 on the year, need one here. It's for a wonderful cause, and thanks to our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. Danny Espinosa.
A couple of nasty splits right there for Mujica. 2-pitch guy, fastball split. And remember Espinosa last time with that pretty swing on that line drive single to left field.
Danny Espinosa, career 0 for 4 against Mujica. A walk and 2 strikeouts.
He's a guy that can go out the other way, too. Usually Mujica tries to get ahead with that fastball, then he goes to the split, but he is featuring it frequently here tonight in a 1-run baseball game.
Yeah, must be feeling pretty good about that pitch. 1-1 to Espinosa.
And he'll throw a slider at times. I'm trying to see if this is one. The scouting report I have says he hasn't thrown one this year, just strictly fastball split.
Sure looks like it.
He's throwing that split almost 60% of the time this year. Tonight it's almost 100.
Espinosa pulls it right side. Matt Carpenter, and the Nats are down to the final out if they would like to avoid a 4-game losing streak at home. It'll be up to Kurt Suzuki with Steve Lombardozzi to the on-deck circle. Jim Wolf going out to see that baseball after it got bounced around the infield and replaces it. Kurt Suzuki career against Mujica, 1 for 3. Suzuki pops it up. It'll reach into the seats. Nats started the season at home 6-0. It'll be 6-4 if they don't make the comeback here. Suzuki hits it to center. John Jay waiting for it. And St. Louis takes the first game of this 3-game series.
Well, the bullpen that's been giving them trouble got the job done tonight. Mike Matheny's got to be happy with the guys he brought in this game.
St. Louis, a rare win at Nationals Park, something they've done only twice in recent seasons. For FP, I'm Bob Carpenter. Final score, St. Louis wins it 3-2. Tomorrow night, Adam Wainwright against Ross Detweiler. Nats Extra 6:30. This has been a massive presentation. Johnny and Ray coming up, Nats Extra post game. And from the booth, so long for just a while.